I want to ask you something, and I want you to really think about your answer. When you stand up from a chair, do your feet feel solid underneath you? Or is there a moment, just a second, where you feel slightly unsteady, like your feet aren't quite connecting with the ground? And what about sensation? Do your feet ever feel numb, tingly, cold, even when the rest of you is warm? Like there's a layer of something between the bottom of your feet and the floor? If any of that sounds familiar, you are not alone. And more importantly, you are not stuck. Today I'm going to show you 4 specific foot exercises that directly target the 2 biggest problems I see in my patients over 60: balance decline and foot numbness. These exercises are simple. They require no equipment. You can do them right here at home, in a chair, or standing with support. And if you do them consistently, I believe you will feel a real difference in your stability, in your confidence, and in the sensation returning to your feet. Now, I want to make sure you watch all the way through because exercise number 3 is the one most people have never tried, and in my experience, it is one of the most powerful tools for waking up numb, tingling feet. I'll explain exactly why when we get there. But first, let me tell you why this is happening, because when you understand what's going on inside your body, these exercises will make so much more sense. Let's talk about what's actually going on in your feet and legs. Your feet contain thousands of nerve endings. These nerves do 2 jobs. First, they send sensation signals to your brain, telling you whether the ground is hard, soft, uneven, or slippery. Second, and this is the part most people don't know, they constantly send your brain position information. Where is my foot? How much weight am I putting on it? Am I leaning left or right? This system has a name: proprioception. Think of it as your body's internal GPS. Your feet are the sensors and your brain is the processor. When proprioception is working well, you move confidently and you don't fall. When it breaks down, and it does break down as we age, you feel unsteady. You hesitate. You shuffle instead of stride. And the risk of falling goes up significantly. Now, here's where numbness comes in. Peripheral neuropathy, that's the medical term for nerve damage or nerve dysfunction in the hands and feet, disrupts exactly these signals. The nerves that are supposed to be sending rapid, precise information to your brain start to slow down. The signal gets fuzzy, and what you feel is tingling, numbness, or that walking on cotton sensation. What causes this? Several things can contribute: reduced circulation, years of minimal foot movement, metabolic conditions like diabetes, or simply the natural changes that come with age, including the gradual loss of muscle we call sarcopenia. But here's what I need you to hear, and this is the most important thing I'll say in this video. The nervous system responds to targeted movement. When you deliberately stimulate the muscles and nerves in your feet in the right way, consistently, you can genuinely improve circulation, nerve signaling, and proprioceptive function. You can, quite literally, start to wake these nerves back up. That is exactly what these 4 exercises are designed to do. Let's get started. All right, let's start with exercise number 1, and I'll warn you, this one might surprise you with how difficult it feels at first. It's called the toe spread and splay. Here's why this matters. Inside your foot, there are over a dozen small muscles called the intrinsic foot muscles. These muscles control your toes, support your arch, and play a direct role in how your foot grips and stabilizes the ground beneath you. In most adults over 60, these muscles have been cramped inside shoes for decades. They're weak, they're tight, and they've largely stopped receiving clear signals from the brain. This exercise changes that. It creates a direct neural connection between your brain and the muscles of your foot, and it starts building the kind of fine motor control that translates into better balance with every step you take. Here's how to do it. Sit comfortably in your chair with both feet flat on the floor. Remove your shoes and socks if you can. The exercise works better with bare feet because the skin contact with the floor adds extra sensory input. Now, try to spread your toes apart, as wide as you can. Spread them like you're trying to create space between each one. Hold that spread for 3 full seconds. Then, relax completely. Let your toes come back together naturally. That's 1 repetition. Now here's my coaching tip for this exercise. Don't get discouraged if your toes barely move at first. That is extremely common, and it simply means these muscles haven't been asked to work in a very long time. With repetition, the movement will come. The neural pathway is still there, it just needs to be reopened. Sets and repetitions. Do 10 repetitions, rest for 30 seconds, then do 1 more set of 10. That's all. Simple. As you get stronger, you can add a variation. Try to lift just your big toe while keeping the other 4 flat on the ground. Then reverse it. Press your big toe down and lift the other 4. This is called toe dissociation, and it's one of the most powerful balance training movements you can do for your feet. Exercise number 2 is called heel to toe rocking, and this one is going to train your entire proprioceptive chain, from the heel all the way to the ball of your foot. Let me explain why that matters. When you walk, your foot goes through a very specific sequence. Heel contacts the ground first, then your weight rolls through the arch, and finally, you push off from the ball of your foot and your toes. This is called the gait cycle, and every part of it requires the muscles and nerves of your foot to communicate with your brain rapidly and precisely. When you have balance problems or numbness, parts of that chain have gone quiet. This exercise wakes them back up systematically from heel to toe. Here's how to perform it. Stand behind your chair with your hands lightly resting on the back for support. Your feet are hip-width apart, parallel to each other. First, rock backward onto your heels. Lift the front of your feet, your toes, and the balls of your feet completely off the ground, so all your weight is on your heels. Hold for 2 seconds. Feel the stretch in your shins. Then slowly, and I mean slowly, rock forward. Roll through the arch and come up onto the balls of your feet and your toes. Your heels lift off the ground. Hold at the top for 2 seconds. Then rock back again, heel to toe to heel. Slow, controlled, deliberate. Here is my most important coaching tip for this exercise. The slower you go, the more effective it is. When you perform this movement quickly, your brain barely has to think about it. When you go slowly, your nervous system has to fire constantly to keep you from tipping too far in either direction. That neurological effort is exactly what builds balance. You are training your brain as much as your feet. Sets and repetitions. 10 full rocks. That's 10 times forward to your toes and back to your heels. Do 2 sets with a brief rest in between. If you feel very steady, try doing this without holding the chair for 5 seconds at a time. Just keep the chair nearby. Safety first, always. All right, this is the one I promised you. Exercise number 3. I call this the game changer, and here's why. This is the exercise that most directly targets the sensory nerves in the plantar surface of your foot. That's the bottom of your foot. And it is unlike anything most people have ever intentionally done for their feet. It's called towel scrunching, and all you need is a small hand towel laid flat on the floor. Here's the science behind it. The bottom of your foot is packed with mechanoreceptors, specialized nerve endings that detect pressure, texture, and movement. In people with neuropathy or long-term sedentary habits, these receptors have been understimulated for years. They've essentially gone into a reduced activity state. When you perform fine motor movements with your toes against a textured surface, like a towel, you create intense, targeted stimulation of exactly these nerve endings. You are, quite literally, sending a wake-up call to the nerves in your foot. Research in physical rehabilitation calls this plantar sensory retraining, and it has been shown to meaningfully improve sensation and proprioceptive awareness in older adults. Let's do it together. Sit in your chair with the towel flat beneath your foot. Keep your heel on the ground. Now, using only your toes, try to scrunch the towel toward you, gripping it, pulling it, bunching it up under the arch of your foot. Then release. Smooth the towel back out, push it away from you using your toes and the ball of your foot, and scrunch it again. You can also try the marble pickup variation. Place several marbles on the towel and try to pick them up one at a time using only your toes, depositing them into a cup or bowl beside your chair. This adds an even more precise level of fine motor stimulation and works the intrinsic muscles even more intensely. Now, here is what I tell every patient who tries this for the first time. If you can barely feel the towel under your foot, that is okay. That is actually the reason you need this exercise the most. Don't be discouraged, don't stop. The sensation pathway between the sole of your foot and your brain still exists. It has simply been quieted. Every time you scrunch that towel, you are sending a signal up that pathway. And with repetition, over days and weeks, that signal gets louder. People are often amazed at how much feeling returns. Sets and repetitions. Scrunch and release 15 times with each foot. One set is enough to start. Build to 2 sets over time. Do this exercise every single day if you can. Consistency is everything with nerve retraining. Exercise number 4 is where everything comes together: the strength, the nerve activation, the balance. This is called the single leg stance progression. I want to say something important before we begin. This exercise is progressive. That means I'm going to give you 3 levels, and I want you to start at level 1 no matter how steady you feel. Give yourself a week at each level before moving forward. There is no rushing this. Building a strong, stable neural foundation takes time, and it is worth doing correctly. And always, always have your chair or a wall within arm's reach. Safety is non-negotiable. Here we go. Level 1, eyes open. Stand behind your chair with your hands lightly touching the back for support. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Slowly lift your left foot just an inch or 2 off the ground. Your right foot is now bearing your full body weight. Hold for 10 seconds. Don't grip the chair, just let your fingers rest there as a safety touch. Then switch sides. Left foot planted, right foot lifted. Hold for 10 seconds. That is 1 repetition. Do 5 on each side. Here's what's happening in your body during those 10 seconds. Your foot, ankle, and lower leg
are firing constantly, hundreds of micro adjustments per second to keep you upright. Your brain is receiving and processing positional information in real time. Every second you hold this position, you are building the neural pathway that prevents falls. Level 2, eyes closed. Same exercise, same position, but now close your eyes.
I know, it feels dramatically harder, doesn't it? That's because your brain has been relying partly on visual information to help with balance. Close your eyes and your proprioceptive system has to do all the work. That is exactly the kind of training that builds real-world balance, because you don't always have clear visual cues when you're moving around your home. Start with just 5 seconds, eyes closed. Build to 10. Be safe, keep the chair close. Level 3. Unstable surface. Fold your towel into a thick pad and stand on it with one foot. The towel creates a mildly unstable surface, and suddenly your foot muscles and nerve endings have to work even harder to maintain your balance. This is called perturbation training, and it is one of the most effective methods in fall prevention research for building functional, real-world stability. Hold for 10 seconds. Switch sides. Keep eyes open for this level until you feel very confident. My coaching tip for the single leg stance. 10 seconds a day builds the neural pathways that prevent falls. You don't need to do this for an hour. You don't need to feel exhausted afterward. What you need is consistency. Do this every single day, and within a few weeks, you will feel the difference when you step off a curb, pivot in your kitchen, or walk on uneven ground. This one exercise, done faithfully, could save your life. Now let me put this all together for you in a simple daily routine you can actually follow. Start with the toe spread and splay, 2 sets of 10. You can do this seated, and it only takes about 2 minutes. This wakes up the intrinsic muscles and opens the neural channels. Move into the heel-to-toe rocking, 2 sets of 10. Stand at your chair for this one, another 2 to 3 minutes. Then sit back down for the towel scrunching. Have your towel ready on the floor. 1 or 2 sets of 15 on each foot. This is your nerve retraining, and it's worth spending 3 to 4 minutes on it. And finish with the single leg stance progression, working at whichever level you're currently on. 5 repetitions each side, about 2 to 3 minutes. Total time, 10 to 15 minutes. That's it. You can do this in the morning to activate your feet before your day begins, or in the evening to wind down. Some of my patients do the seated exercises, the toe spread and the towel scrunching, while watching television. That's perfectly fine. What matters is that you do it. Now, when should you expect to notice a difference? Everyone's body responds differently, but here is a general guide. In the first week, you may notice your feet feel more awake after the exercises, a slight warming, maybe some increased tingling as circulation improves. That's normal, and it's a good sign. Within 2 to 3 weeks, many people begin noticing they feel more confident on their feet. Small things, stepping off a curb, getting up from a chair, walking on grass, start to feel more stable. At the 30-day mark, proprioceptive improvements typically become noticeable even without thinking about it. Give it 30 days of consistent effort. That is my challenge to you. One important safety note. If your numbness is accompanied by sharp or shooting pain, if it is worsening rapidly, or if you are experiencing weakness in your legs, please see your doctor. These exercises are beneficial for functional neuropathy and balance decline, but a physician should always rule out underlying conditions that need medical attention. I've been doing this for a long time, and one of the things I've learned is that the people who struggle most with balance and foot numbness are often the ones who feel like there's nothing they can do about it. They've been told it's just part of getting older, that they have to be careful, that they have to hold on to walls and handrails and be afraid of falling. I don't believe that, and I don't want that for you. Your feet carried you through every decade of your life. They've walked you through hard times and good times, through neighborhoods and mountains and hospital hallways and living rooms. They deserve your attention now. And the remarkable thing, the thing that still moves me about the human body, is that it responds, it adapts, it heals. When you give your nervous system the right stimulus consistently, it changes. Sensation returns, confidence returns, stability returns. That is not wishful thinking. That is neuroscience. And that is what I want for you. So here is what I'm asking you to do. Start today. Not tomorrow, today. Take off your shoes and socks, lay a towel on the floor, and do these 4 exercises. 10 minutes, that's all. And then do it again tomorrow. Your body is ready. You just have to give it the chance. If this video helped you, and I truly hope it did, please hit the like button right now. It helps more people just like you find this content when they need it most. And if you're not already subscribed to Healthy Aging America, please subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. We release new content every week covering exactly these kinds of practical, evidence-based strategies for staying strong, mobile, and independent as you age. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these 4 exercises did you feel the most? Or maybe you have a question. Drop it down there. I read everything. And please, share this video. Think about the person in your life who shuffles when they walk, or who grips the wall when they go down the hall, or who has mentioned that their feet feel numb. Send this to them. It might be exactly what they've been looking for. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves.